Hey there, it's me. Today we are talking about fitness goals for men over the age of 50. And because guys, we don't really talk about this stuff, but as we get older, our bodies change. So our goals need to change as well. It is completely normal that our goals will be different at the age of 60 than they were at the age of 30. Now, here's the thing. This video isn't about shaming anyone who has certain goals or aspirations. That is not what this is about. Instead, we are going to discuss what might be realistic versus not realistic. So if you are a man over the age of 50, we're going to start off by breaking down your goals into 3 decades. 50s, 60s, and 70s. We're going to go through each decade, starting with the 50s. So let's get right into it. 50s. So here are some examples of goals that are pretty common amongst men in their 50s. You want to gain muscle, lose body fat, improve your cardiovascular health, increase bone density, improve your balance control, strength training, flexibility, and endurance. There's a lot of overlap here, but I think these are all reasonable goals. These are very good goals. However, if we look at these goals from a realistic perspective, which means what is possible for most people over the age of 50, well then I think we can say that gaining muscle, losing body fat, improving cardiovascular health, and increasing bone density, those things are very possible. However, when it comes to improving balance control, I think that depends heavily on how you currently stand, no pun intended, when it comes to your balance. If you already have good balance control, then yes, you can definitely maintain it. But if you're restarting out, and maybe you haven't been as active as you used to be, then improving your balance quickly may not be so realistic. Same goes with flexibility and endurance. If you already have good flexibility and endurance, then maintaining it is one thing. But if you are starting out, then improving your flexibility and endurance quickly may not be as realistic. This is where you need to understand that there is such a thing as diminishing returns. When it comes to exercise, meaning, yes, you can continue to build muscle and strength into your older years, but the rate at which you do so will slow down significantly. The same goes for losing body fat. It's just like building muscle. You can still lose body fat at an older age, but it's going to take more work than when you were younger. When it comes to flexibility and endurance, though, I would argue that these are more important as we get older than muscle and strength. Muscle and strength are great, but as we get older, our main goal should be to maintain our independence for as long as possible. Meaning we want to be able to do things like walk up a flight of stairs without stopping to catch our breath. We want to be able to get up from a chair without using our hands for support. We want to be able to carry our groceries from the car into our house without having to take multiple trips. These are all things that many of us take for granted when we are younger. But as we get older, we realize just how important it is to be able to do these everyday activities without any limitations. So if we are looking at realistic goals for men in their 50s, I would say that the following are the most important. Lose body fat, gain muscle, improve cardiovascular health, and increase bone density. These are the big 4. Now, I wouldn't neglect balance, flexibility, and endurance either, but I would prioritize these over muscle and strength. Let's move on to the next decade, our 60s. Here are some common goals for men in their 60s. As you can see, there is a lot of overlap with the 50s, but now we start to see some new ones emerging. For example, prevent falls, improve sleep quality, maintain energy levels, prevent cognitive decline, reduce joint pain, and maintain social connections. Again, I think that all of these are good goals, but let's break them down into realistic and not realistic. When it comes to preventing falls, improving sleep quality, maintaining energy levels, preventing cognitive decline, and reducing joint pain, I think these are all very realistic goals. In fact, I think that these are some of the best goals that we can set for ourselves as we age. Improving our sleep quality, maintaining our energy levels, preventing cognitive decline, and reducing joint pain are all things that are within our control. The better we do in these areas, the better our overall quality of life will be as we age. Now, when it comes to maintaining social connections, I think that this is also a very realistic goal. However, whether or not you are able to maintain your social connections will depend heavily on how much effort you put into it. Social connections are one of the most important factors when it comes to our overall health and well-being, but we have to put in the effort to maintain them. So if we are looking at realistic goals for men in their 60s, I would say that the following are the most important. Prevent falls, improve sleep quality, maintain energy levels, prevent cognitive decline, reduce joint pain, and maintain social connections. Again, I wouldn't neglect muscle, strength, cardiovascular health, bone density, balance, flexibility, and endurance either. But I would prioritize these 6 goals. Now let's move on to the 70s. Here are some common goals for men in their 70s. As you can see, there is a lot of overlap with the previous decades, but now we start to see some new ones emerging. For example, manage chronic conditions, maintain mobility, improve mental health, live independently for as long as possible, and make the most of retirement. Again, I think that all of these are good goals, but let's break them down into realistic and not realistic. When it comes to managing chronic conditions, maintaining mobility, improving mental health, and living independently for as long as possible, I think these are all very realistic goals. In fact, I think that these are some of the best goals that we can set for ourselves as we enter our 70s. Managing our chronic conditions, maintaining our mobility, and improving our mental health are all things that are within our control and will have a major impact on our overall quality of life as we age. Now, when it comes to making the most of retirement, I think that this is also a very realistic goal. But whether or not you are able to make the most of your retirement will depend heavily on your definition of making the most of it. What does that even mean? So if we are looking at realistic goals for men in their 70s, I would say that the following are the most important. Manage chronic conditions. Maintain mobility, improve mental health, and live independently for as long as possible. Now, I wouldn't neglect cardiovascular health, bone density, balance, flexibility, and endurance either, but I would prioritize these for goals. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is all well and good, Brad, but how do I actually go about setting realistic goals? Well, here's a simple framework that you can use to help you set realistic goals. Step 1. Identify the goal. Do you want to achieve? Be specific. For example, instead of saying I want to improve my cardiovascular health, say I want to be able to walk 1 mile without stopping to rest. Step 2. Set a deadline. When do you want to achieve this goal? Having a deadline will help you stay focused and motivated. For example, I want to be able to walk 1 mile without stopping to rest by the end of this year. Step 3. Create a plan. What steps do you need to take to reach your goal? Break down your goal into smaller, more manageable steps. For example, to walk 1 mile without stopping to rest, you may need to start by walking shorter distances and gradually working your way up.
Step 4, track your progress.
It's important to track your progress so that you can see how far you've come and stay motivated. You can track your progress by using a fitness tracker or by keeping a journal. Step 5, adjust as needed. Life happens, and sometimes you'll get off track. That's okay. Just make sure to adjust your plan accordingly and keep moving forward. Well, there you have it, a simple framework that you can use to help you set realistic goals. Remember, it's never too late to set goals and start working towards a better future. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. If you haven't already, please subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Have a great day.